Welcome, everyone, to this new episode of The Scoop hosted by the team at Outreach International. I'm Scott Murphy, the interim president and CEO. Thank you for taking the time to join members of the OI team for this informative exploration into the amazing work that OI is doing in the communities where we serve. In this episode, we will highlight some of our work taking place in Cambodia and India and the impact this work is having on people's lives. To provide an overview of the initiative of building better homes in the communities where we're serving, I'd like to introduce to you Eileen Klutaw, the new president and CEO-elect for Outreach International. Eileen has been a member of the OI team for 7 years and has firsthand experience with this initiative. So I will turn this episode of The Scoop over to OI's new CEO, Eileen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. It is absolutely wonderful to be here with you, Scott, with the OI staff, Mackenzie, Katie, and Chris, who have worked on this presentation. And I'm so excited for you to see the presentations too with us. So thank you in advance for their work on it. And then, of course, also for those of our communities and also for our community partners who cannot be with us today, but who will be represented through this presentation. And then, of course, last but absolutely not the least, thank you so much for everybody who is joining us today virtually in the middle of your day from wherever you are. We are so grateful for you joining us and learning with us more about the impactful work that is facilitated through our process. I think we also have with us Rashmi and Krisa. Are you with us? Maybe you can wave or just unmute and quickly say hi. Rashmi, are you there? There you are. Hi, Rashmi.
Hi.
Hello. And we have Krisa. Hi, Krisa.
Hello, Eileen. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It is fantastic to also have Rashmi and Krisa with us. They are joining us from the other side of the world, so it's already very late for them. So thank you so much. Rashmi is program coordinator for our team in India, and Krisa is program coordinator for the team in the Philippines, but she is supporting Rashmi and the team in India. Unfortunately, it is very late for our team in Cambodia, so they are not joining us, but they are definitely with us in spirit. Now, Mackenzie will shortly share with you the significant impact of community-led housing in Cambodia and also in India, and she has amazing content to share with you. But I've had the real honor of visiting both of these places, and most recently, Rashmi, I visited with you and your team in India. And it is just utterly amazing to see not only the work that Rashmi and her team in India are doing, and also Vong in Cambodia, but to see how they are supporting rural communities toward reaching their dreams. And those are not dreams only for them on an individual family level, but it's also in reaching their dreams for their communities. And that is dreams to support them in becoming thriving communities. Those are dreams about accessing water. Those are dreams about having clean toilets and clean surroundings. Those are dreams for people and for communities to have safer places for their children, to have healthcare for their children. And it's dreams to have households that are safe, especially for women, mothers, and also children. And it's always amazing to see the extent to which communities just come together and work so hard to make their dreams come together. And they do it to make their dreams come true. And they come together, and they come together in solidarity. But there's another amazing thing that always strikes me. It blows me away every time I visit these areas. It is how people come to talk about how they make their dreams come true, how they talk about how they've reached their goals. They talk about it with so much ownership. They talk about it with pride, and they talk about it with commitment. Through these conversations, I'm always reminded of the potential that is within every single person out there. And through our process, we are igniting such potential toward long-term, sustainable, and thriving communities. And you are central to all of that. You are a key component in that process. And so thank you so much from my side, from everybody at Kansas City, from everybody in Rashmi's team, from Chris's team, and also from Vong's team for partnering with us at Outreach so that we can support communities towards sustainable impact, thriving communities, and for them to make their dreams come true. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Mackenzie. Please enjoy the presentation Mackenzie is about to share. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you, Aline and Scott. We are so incredibly excited to have Aline leading the way as we look to the future of outreach. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, The Scoop is our space to give you an unfiltered, in-depth look at the impact that we're creating together around the world and to connect directly with you, our incredible community of supporters. We share stories from our communities, we dig into the data, and most importantly, we celebrate the life-changing work that gets accomplished when communities take the lead in building their own future. Before we dive in today, I'd like for you to take a moment and imagine something with me. Picture your very first home. Not just the walls or the roof, but think back to what it felt like and the life that unfolded inside of it. Think about the smell of cookies baking in the oven, the sound of laughter echoing through the rooms, the homework that was done at the kitchen counter, the meals shared around a table, the holidays, the milestones, and the quiet moments that stitch together into the story of your life. That home, whether large or small, fancy or modest, wasn't just a building. It was the foundation of your life. It provided your safety and security. It probably determined where you went to school, your friendships, and your sense of belonging. Now, imagine if that home didn't have a door that locked. Imagine if your roof leaked and your books and clothes for school were wet, or if your mom wasn't able to run her small business from home. If your family was worried about your safety every time it rained. How would that change the story of your childhood? What would be the ripple effect of those worries that shape who you are today? An inadequate home is a reality for millions of families around the world, but people living in outreach communities are discovering that they have the power to change their reality. That's what today's conversation is about. It's about how communities, working locally and with your partnership, are building not just homes, but futures. Strong, lasting, resilient foundations for generations to come. Today, we're visiting two countries, India and Cambodia, and we're talking about something that is so fundamental to safety, stability, and dignity: housing. Not just any housing, but homes that are safe, lasting, and built through the power of community-led development. In many of the countries where we work, housing challenges are overwhelming. In rural India, for example, an estimated 43 million families live in unsafe or semi-permanent housing. That's nearly 40% of rural homes that are classified by the word kacha. This describes structures that are often made of mud, bamboo, or found scrap materials. Homes that cannot withstand the heavy rains of monsoon season or the dangerous summer heat. Many of these homes also lack basic amenities, such as safe drinking water, sanitation facilities, electricity, and safe methods of cooking. We all recognize that clean water and proper sanitation are elements of health and safety. Without them, people are forced to resort to using open source water that exposes them to harmful bacteria. And we understand how vital electricity is to daily life. Charging a cell phone, accessing a bank account online, or simply having light to live, work, and study by at night. In rural Cambodia, housing is characterized by traditional stilt structures, often made of wood with thatched or palm leaf roofs, raised off of the ground to protect against annual floods during the rainy season. The region of Cambodia where we work can see as much as 70 inches of rain in 1 year, with 90% of that, more than 5 feet, falling in just 2 months. While traditional in nature, the palm leaf roofs are prone to leaking, and these homes can be vulnerable to rot and insect infestations, leading to unsafe and unhealthy living conditions. A primary reason for the persistence of inadequate housing in these regions is that there are significant barriers to building better homes. Banks are not easy to reach in these rural areas, and even if families can get to one, it can be impossible to get a loan because so often people who live in poverty don't have the financial resources or even the paperwork that banks require as collateral. In India, the government does provide support for families who want to build a safe, permanent home. Eligible families can access a subsidy of about 1,500 equivalent US dollars, but only if they can present the correct documents, such as a legal land title, the equivalent of a social security card, a bank account, and proof of employment. Oftentimes, the lack of these documents is the biggest barrier to accessing this government support. The Outreach India team helps communities navigate the complexities of the system to identify and gather all of these documents and begin accessing the government resources that have for so long been out of reach. When an applicant receives approval, the funds are dispersed in 3 phases. The first installment after the foundation is laid, the second when the roof is finished, and the final payment only once the house is fully constructed. And while the government contribution is fixed, building a durable home typically costs far more, usually between an additional $2,200 and $3,600 out of the family's own pocket. A house is more than just walls and a roof. It's safety from the elements. It's a place to raise a family. It's the foundation for every other dream: education, health, and livelihood. Without secure housing, everything else becomes harder. Children can't study without shelter from the weather or be ready for school without access to sanitation. Parents can't cook safely, and families live with constant anxiety about the next storm or flood. But here is the most important thing to remember. In every place where we work, communities already have the ideas, skills, and determination that they need. They just need the right support to turn that vision into a reality. At Outreach International, we follow a very specific approach: community-led development. It's not about swooping in with pre-made plans. It's about listening, organizing, and building capacity so communities themselves identify their priorities, create action plans, and carry them out. When housing comes up as a top priority, the process looks like this. Neighbors gather to assess needs. They decide on design materials and budget. They form work teams, and they connect with local government and local suppliers. And outreach facilitators guide every step of the way to help them problem solve, track progress, and ensure that the results are sustainable. The outcome isn't just a new house. It's a community with stronger problem-solving skills, better organization, and more confidence to tackle whatever comes next. In the village of Bujabala, India, a woman named Nilai spent years dreaming of something many of us might take for granted: a safe home. At 62 years old and a widow, she had lived her whole life in a fragile house that leaked every monsoon. Each year, she had to pay to repair her roof, a job that drained her already limited income. The house wasn't just uncomfortable, it was unsafe. But Nilai didn't give up. When her community began working with Outreach International in 2023, she attended meetings where neighbors came together to talk about their struggles and plan solutions. In one of those meetings, she met Sanjeev, Outreach's human development facilitator, and found the courage to take her first step forward. Nilai applied for government housing subsidy and received $1,547. She sold her old house for a little over $1,000 and pulled her resources together. With her son and daughter-in-law helping to gather materials and local masons assisting with the work, Nilai began building her dream. Today, Nilai lives in a sturdy concrete home of her own. It has a hall, kitchen, bedrooms, electricity, and comfortable spaces that meet her family's daily needs and reflect what's important to them: a private bathroom, a cooking stove, a tank water point, a worship room, and a common room where her family can share meals, laughter, and rest. When it was complete, Nilai celebrated by hosting a joyful feast with her neighbors, the people who supported her along the way. Her home is more than just a building. It's a symbol of safety, dignity, and possibility. Nilai's story shows us what's possible when individuals step up and when communities unite and when donors like you believe in their power to design their own future. In the heart of Kambesu village, India, a 25-year-old Minna Rao stands beside a stack of bricks he made with his own hands. His fingers coated in dried clay tell a story of determination, perseverance, and transformation. Just a few years ago, Minna Rao was a teenager with big dreams, but limited resources forced him to leave school after 10th grade to help his family. He and his family live in a small and fragile thatched house that was vulnerable to the region's harsh weather conditions. One day in 2021, Minna Rao attended a local meeting facilitated by an Outreach International community organization, and that's when everything changed. During that meeting, he listened to people talking about working together to solve shared challenges. With encouragement from the group and guidance from his father, Minna Rao began making bricks by hand, mixing clay, shaping it, drying it in the sun, and firing it to create strong, durable building material. At first, the bricks were intended only to build a better home, but they soon became a symbol of a future filled with possibility. The Ashish organization, the community group that grew from Outreach's methodology, gave Minna Rao and his father advice on selling their bricks, as well as finances, cost-saving strategies, and leveraging local resources. Minna Rao reflects, "Through our community meetings, I learned how much easier it is to solve problems when we work together. Without their support, we wouldn't have been able to start building our home." Today, Minna Rao and his father are building a sturdy brick house that will keep their family safe and comfortable for generations. They continue their small-scale farming, and they also keep making bricks. And every brick that Minna Rao makes is more than just a building block for a structure. It's an addition to the foundation of his family's future, a step towards prosperity, dignity, and the pride of knowing he's created a future with his own hands. And Minna Rao's experience is just a fraction of the results the Ashish organization has brought to this region. Since 2012, it has initiated and overseen the construction of 220 houses across 10 different communities. Minna Rao's journey is proof of the power of community-led development. It shows how guidance, support, and hard work can transform not only a home, but a life. And these amazing results are only possible because of donors like you, who believe in the potential of people to shape their own futures. Now, as we look to Cambodia, we see that the communities where outreach works have their own challenges with safe housing. These houses in this region typically feature a raised living space with a ground-level open area used for various purposes, including livestock care and workspace. Roth is a woman who lives in Bostatrav, a village close to Siem Reap, with her husband and young daughter, who is now in first grade. To provide for her family, Roth weaves rattan baskets, while her husband takes on construction work and other labor jobs, such as harvesting cashew nuts. Roth and her family lived in a small, fragile house with a palm leaf wall that offered little protection. During storms and heavy rains, water would pour in, leaving their daughter's school uniform, bag, and books soaking wet. Often they had no choice but to take shelter with neighbors, fearing their home might collapse. These poor conditions not only caused discomfort, but also took a toll on the family's health. Illnesses were frequent, and life was marked by uncertainty and worry. But through the outreach process, the local organization helped Roth and her family build a new and improved house. Here's what Roth has to say about her new home. This transformation was possible thanks to the funders and the resources that Outreach helps communities build locally. Roth's home was funded by the group Volunteers Building Cambodia, an NGO that builds traditional stilt homes out of modern, long-lasting materials like steel frames and concrete bases that can withstand the elements and keep families safe and comfortable for many years. Like Roth, many families have experienced life-changing improvements after working together to solve housing challenges. A woman named U, a mother of 6, lives in Tabeng Ket village, and her family earns a living through farming. During the off-season, she makes rice cakes out of her home to sell locally. She explains what her family's journey has looked like. Life in their old house was incredibly difficult. When it rained at night, there was no proper place for the children to sleep, and they had no dry or safe space to study. The family often sat together in discomfort, struggling to make it through stormy weather. At that time, Niem U's greatest wish was simple: to have a proper home where her children could be safe from strong winds, heat, and rain, and where they would finally have a comfortable place to do their homework and sleep.
តែពីខ្ញុំបានផ្ទះហើយអារម្មណ៍ខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តមានកន្លែងកូនរៀនសូត្រស្រួលអត់លិចអត់សាច់អត់ចាំបាច់ខ្លាចចោលចុះដូចមុនមានកន្លែងកូនដេកស្រួលអត់បាក់ភ័យផ្ទះនឹងក៏រឹងមាំមុននឹងខ្ញុំបានផ្ទះនេះខ្ញុំបានចូលរួមប្រជុំជាមួយសហគមន៍ដើម្បីដោះស្រាយវិភាគបញ្ហាពីកង្វះខាតក្នុងសហគមន៍ភាសាគ្នានៃប្រាក់គ្នាបន្តិចបន្តួចដើម្បីឲ្យអ្នកតំណាងចាក់សាំងដាក់យកសំណេរទៅដាក់សុំពីម្ចាស់ជំនួយនៅខេត្តសៀមរាប
These stories from Cambodia show how collaboration, persistence, and community-led planning transform dreams of safe housing into reality. Families not only gain security, but also the confidence to envision brighter futures. And these stories you heard today are not isolated stories. They're part of a bigger movement. In the past year alone in India and Cambodia, over 410 families have built or upgraded their homes to disaster-resistant standards. That's over 2,000 people that now live in safe, sturdy homes, and all of these homes are still standing today. Across India and Cambodia, in the history of our programming, communities have accessed over $575,000 from government housing initiatives and other local funders. This was made possible through Outreach's local staff, who organized the communities and coached them on how to access these funds. Communities have also constructed 1,123 toilets and 199 water wells, comprehensively tackling multiple interconnected needs and establishing thriving communities through complex program initiatives. And 100% of projects use locally sourced materials, keeping money circulating within the local economy. A safe home is the foundation for a productive and fulfilling life. And right now, communities in India and Cambodia and elsewhere are organizing, planning, and dreaming of the home they will one day provide for their families. This is the power of collective action. When people work together, they achieve results that no single person could achieve alone. When you give to Outreach International, you don't just fund bricks and mortar. You invest in people. You equip them to take control of their own development, to make decisions, and to build skills that last far beyond the completion of any one project. Housing is just one example, but whether it's water, education, livelihood, or health, the process is the same, and the impact is exponential. Your continued support makes it possible for those dreams to take shape. If you're already giving, thank you. If you're able to make an additional gift today or join our Sustainers Club, our monthly giving program, you'll help even more families move from vulnerability to stability and from stability to opportunity. Together, we can make sure that every family has a safe place to call home. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. And thank you for believing in the power of communities to lead their own change. At this time, I would love to welcome Mariana and Andrea from the Global Operations team here in the Kansas City office, and Rashmi, the Program Coordinator for Outreach India team, and Kriza, the Program Coordinator for the Philippines team and the mentor to the India team, to join us for some Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. And it's wonderful to have, again, it's so wonderful to have you with us, Rashmi, and also Krisa, and then, of course, Andrea and Mariana. And please, if you have any questions, please go ahead and add them to the chat box, and we can get to that and respond to them. Maybe I can get us going here, Mackenzie, and also the Global Operations team. And maybe I can ask a question to maybe you, Mariana. From your perspective, what do you think is the biggest difference between a community that has gone through the outreach process and then one that has not?
Of course. Thank you, Aline, and thank you, Mackenzie. So I have been at OI for 1 year, and I really do believe that the biggest difference between the communities that have gone through the outreach process and those that haven't is the sense of confidence and collective strength. So communities that haven't gone through the process, they often feel that they have to face these challenges alone. So families struggle in isolation. They might feel that resources are out of reach. But once they experience the PhD process, everything begins to shift, right? So neighbors start coming together, they start organizing, they start solving problems as a group, and they learn to navigate government systems like we see in India, manage resources, and make decisions collectively. So as Mackenzie mentioned before, the outcome is not just a home or a project itself, but it's a stronger, more resilient community.
That's great. Thank you, Mariana, and thank you so much. There are some questions coming in. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. There's one question that comes from Katie about how do communities connect with resource networks and resource institutions. Rashmi, Krisa, maybe I can pass it over to you. Rashmi, maybe you. What process and how do you connect communities with resource institutions so they can address their challenges?
Thank you. Thank you for asking these questions, Sister Ellie. Actually, our workers, they go to the HDF, when they go to the fields, the communities, when they work with the people, they form the CBO, the leaders, and they provide them training. Actually, the people, they don't have courage to go to the officers and talk with them, but our HDFs, they role play them and how to talk with them many times, and they provide training about request letter writing, proposal writing, and after that they go to the office and they talk with the agencies, our leaders. Actually, our HDFs provide the leadership training. They make them the capable leaders. Without that, it is not possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. So, a key aspect of the process is to strengthen the courage of community leaders because and community members, they often would feel intimidated to go to government offices and other resource institutions. So, part of the leadership training is to strengthen their courage, to remind them of their courage, and then also give them the skills on letter writing and proposal writing. Thank you so much, Rashmi. Krisa, anything you want to add from your side?
Yes, Eileen, thank you. Good morning again to everyone. How do they connect with resource networks? It starts with preparing a long list of requirements as well. So that's why this housing issue it's related to very basic issues that we facilitate early in the beginning of our organizing in India, because to access housing you have to have requirements like identification cards or below poverty line cards, and those cards, it's a basic, it's a basic need, privilege of the people that should have, but even those, they don't have the access. So in the beginning we have to facilitate getting these cards first, from birth certificate to identification cards, before they will finally access resources like housing. So it's a long list of requirements, but that is the job of the HDF to facilitate how to access these requirements and also guide these people to complete the application forms and submit to the resource networks.
Right. So all the different steps, hey, Krisa, it's not
Yes.
as simple as just going to the government and requesting the housing funds. It is all the in-between steps, Krisa and Rashmi, that is needed to take place before a house can come up. Yeah, okay. Maybe we have one more question, Paul. Thank you so much for your question. Paul, you ask, what are the prospects that the administrative costs for OI can be met against, again, as earlier they were to allow 100% of contributions to go to the projects? Thank you so much for your question. Maybe I can throw this over to you, Andrea.
Yeah, so Paul, this is such a good question. And I think the prospects are we're always hopeful. It will take the generosity, of course, of individuals that would want to designate their funds toward administrative purposes to allow those new supporters to come in and know that their gifts are going straight to the projects and the programs that we support. If you know of anyone, please send them our way.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for your question, Paul. Thank you
Yes.
also for your response, Andrea. Mackenzie, we are closing down. We want to adhere and we want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'm going to officially close us. Thank you so much for everybody that joined us. I want to say especially thank you, Rashmi, for joining us at this late hour, and also Krisa for joining us from the Philippines as well. We always appreciate it so much to have you on these scoops, because you are so, so close to the work and you can speak to it with closeness in mind. And then I also want to just thank everybody that took time out of their busy schedule to join us today. It is always so wonderful to see all of you join us. Thank you again so much for your support, your ongoing support, your curiosity in the work that is done through OI's process. And we appreciate you. And we are hoping that we will see you at the next scoop. Mackenzie, do we know when that one will take place? Any
We're
ideas?
thinking spring. So
Springtime.
stay tuned, early 2026.
There we go. So just keep on checking your emails, and Mackenzie will send out those sooner than later. Time goes so by so quickly, hey, Mackenzie, before we know it's going to be spring. Yeah. All right. Thank you. With all that said, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And I wish you all a wonderful day and evening ahead. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much.